Welcome to Kung Fu Podcast, where we explore the culture, the adventure, and the impact of martial arts. I'm your host, T.W. Smith. In today's episode, Kung Fu Podcast number 218, we're going to be looking at Injuries and the Ninja Nurse, a book review that was written by Peter Jones. He's a nurse, a fantastic guy, has been part of the program's following for a long time. Which reminds me, when you're in this program, you're part of the audience that is some of the finest and sharpest martial artists in the world. People that put in a great deal of sweat, a great deal of care, and a great deal of effort into honing their craft. And in fact, this past weekend, that's all we did from Friday till Sunday till about 2:15. We were at the Shurite convention in Dallas, North Carolina at Alex Armaza's Karate Dojo there in Dallas, North Carolina, just below Gastonia. And it was fantastic. Had several of the students there, Bob Speed, Ron McCann, Gene, and Scott Stallwork, who was recognized as becoming a senior instructor in the area of Hop Gar Kung Fu. He's put in a great deal of effort and sweat and conditioning over the past several years in order to develop himself into that art and then also to embrace it. The Shurite Bujitsu Kai is a fantastic group of folks, and I would really encourage you, if you really want to kind of learn more about all types of martial arts, but to be around people who really take care of each other as well as practice and push each other, this is a great group. Look up Troy Price. There's going to be a link to some of the events that are coming up right here in the show notes. And with that being said, there are times where in the martial arts world, young people, for example, would like to go, but do not have the resources to go there. I put together a GoFundMe page to help put resources together so that someone who really is dedicated and interested and is identified by their instructors in Troy really want to attend one of the international conferences to make a little donation. Just 20, 30, whatever you can do to help pave the way for somebody who one day may be a leader in the martial arts. I found that martial arts really helped me find a purpose and to put together some things in my life that I had not been able to do until then. So I wanted to just have an opportunity to set that over at the GoFundMe page so that other folks can contribute and help get someone there who may not otherwise be able to attend. So when it comes to Peter Jones and the Ninja Nurse, injuries, ailments, and bruising are all part of being a martial artist. Sore muscles, joint tweaks, which I got one right now. That right shoulder is complaining like it was when I was like 21, but it comes and goes. Broken bones can happen in martial arts activity with many variables dictating the outcome of how things go in a particular training practice. We want to identify the most important variables or potential risks. The injury rate in martial arts is similar to other contact sports. In a study, comparison of shotokan karate injuries against injuries in other martial arts and select NCAA sports was done by PhD John David Swanson at the Department of Biology and Biomedical Sciences in Newport, Rhode Island. It says that martial arts has, quote, myriad physical and mental benefits. Physical benefits include improved balance, meaningful exercise, and the ability to protect oneself against a physical threat. It is also a physical art, with flowing movements that support one's connection to his or her movements, end quote. A review of research revealed there is a 1 in 5 chance of being injured in a shotokan tournament and 1 in 4 chance of being injured over the course of time training. The mean percentage of reported injuries through 10 studies: contusions, 47%. Epistaxis, or a nosebleed, 20%. Lacerations, 14%. Sprains and strains, 3%. I'd have thought that would have been much higher. Concussions, 2%. Some studies had it as high as 7%. The most injury-prone arts appear to be Jiu-Jitsu at 97.5%, Aikido 51%, and Kung Fu at 38%, followed by Judo, Karate, and Taekwondo, which all were 20 to 21%. The least injury-prone martial art of all those studied is Tai Chi at 14%. That shouldn't surprise us a lot of times because a lot of folks really don't take their Tai Chi to the martial art level. And I bet you that if they did, based on my experience, the injury rate would increase quite a bit. But that's the nice thing about it. It gives you an opportunity to learn certain movements, but it can also keep you safe, especially if you're already in a compromised or fragile situation. These are what I define as the wellness versions, but they may include things like push hands and some strength and conditioning work as well. Over a 16-year NCAA research study, the only collegiate sport that had a higher injury rate than shotokan karate was football, with a 36% injury rate. Soccer and ice hockey followed respectively. The major risk factors for injury in the martial arts are the time spent training, number 2, the age of the participant. I hate to hear that as I keep climbing the ladder. Number 3, the experience of the participant. And number 4, specifically, it was found that overtraining and older and inexperienced participants presented the highest risk of injury. As you might imagine, these factors compound so an older, inexperienced person has a much higher percentage rate of getting injured. Professor Swanson states, quote, "The single most important factor in preventing injury is the education and experience level of the instructor. This indicates the requirement of having a strong organizational apprenticeship or instructor qualification that includes specific instruction in warm-up and cool-down procedures, injury prevention during the course of your exercises, and the mechanisms of prevention. The ability to determine overtraining, the ability to give appropriate advice to students, and the implication of techniques in both the execution and results of delivery," end quote. So, in my terms, basically, a good instructor is going to be able to keep you safe as he progressively moves you through levels of interaction, levels of engagement, and ideally give you some ideas on both sides, the giver and the receiver, about what to expect, how to keep yourself safe, and it should be the sort of instruction that actually is effective in your self-defense or, in this case, in your overall well-being. This segues to why The Ninja Nurse by Peter Jones, The Essential Guide to Injury Management in Martial Arts, is an important book. It's available on Amazon, Goodreads, and several other locations where you could download it, or just have the hard copy like I do. Contributing to the validity of this 300-page book is that Peter is a nurse, has over 30 years of multi-martial arts experiences, and deposits volumes of this information into this one book. Ninja Nurse is an excellent guide to all aspects of injury prevention and reducing those variables in your martial arts. Chapters include health screening, risk assessments, and aspects of the training environment. And also, when I was looking through it, you get a really good deep dive into children and to combat sports. It also includes true stories, useful links, and where to find important forms if you have a martial arts school. Peter takes you through a process on how to 1. Reduce and prevent injury, 2. How to treat an injury, and 3. How to learn from the injury. The book emphasizes content for the instructor. Peter walks through potential problem actions such as break falling, striking and pad holding, and also chokes and strangles. As I read through the book, I noted that Peter provides you a really good idea of what a legitimate martial arts first aid kit might look like. Granted, any is better than none. However, this is particularly useful if you're not sure on how to build your martial arts first aid kit, and I suggest you have several. Then please make sure that you can use everything in it. It doesn't do you any good to put it in there and not learn how to use it. There'll be a link in the show notes of a standard first aid kit that you can get and have it ready and then enhance it a little bit based on your particular school needs. Now for reality moment. Headline: Indiana personal injury lawsuit involving karate kick moves forward. So there's an exercise going on, and they're kicking held bags or held shields. And we have Johnny the Jackass, who has already been warned twice about trying to crush people as they're holding their bags. Then on the third, he gets a lady to hold his bag, and he jump kicks her when she wasn't ready. She injures her knee in the fall that requires surgery. She has sued Johnny, and the court stated, quote, "An individual's actions during a particular exercise or drill in a practice session can be viewed as within range of ordinary behavior of participants in the sport, or whether it is dangerous is for the jury to decide." It continues, "Responsible trainers and athletes keep themselves aware of both the risk of injury and the steps to prevent them," end quote. My understanding is that the injured lady is only seeking damages from Johnny Jackass and not the martial arts school. My guess would be that they did things as close to right as possible, except for not yanking Johnny on the second warning. The Ninja Nurse is an excellent clinical reference broken into areas such as 1. Spinal injury, 2. Chest injury, 3. Neck, 4. Limbs, 5. And smaller joint injuries. Peter discusses the mental health awareness and their associations and problems to your training hall. For example, depression, anger, bipolar students, and we just mentioned Johnny the Jackass, are going to bring unique concerns that you can use and manipulate in order to increase awareness and then reduce the risk of injury. Peter states, quote, "Consider an acute mental health episode like an acute injury," end quote. So there can be people, and I've had this happen in some of my classes, where you're working on a particular segment of the class and there's an emotional moment where there's maybe tears, fear. I've had some folks who just say, I can't do it, something in my past. Being able to handle those folks, have some compassion for them, and helping them find where they are at the moment, no judgment, and let them get to the next place if they're ready to move and whenever they're ready to move without not having to rehash all the stuff in the past. It's a very challenging moment because you're learning on the fly about what may be happening with this person, but if you'll take the time, you can definitely improve your skills in identifying emotional moments. Ian Abernathy says, quote, "The book focuses on how to ensure training partners don't get hurt and how to help them if they do," end quote. Jamie Clubb also says that, quote, "This is an exhaustive work on the subject as one could hope to find," end quote. I would tell you that this book addresses a critical area of any martial arts training center. It is a value that is well worth the read and well worth the cost. Thank you, Peter. The link for the book will be in the show notes as well as the GoFundMe page. And I really hope that you will take the time to look into the book or at least make sure that you have everything necessary to keep your students safe inside of your training center. Take care. This is podcast number 218 with T.W. Smith and the Ninja Nurse, the essential guide to injury management in martial arts. Thank you for joining me today and allowing me to be part of your martial arts journey. You can go to twsmith.us and find the links in the most recent podcast items that were mentioned and how to find information on anything else that I may do from that location, twsmith.us. Take care. Have a great practice today.